Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Fix this here. What happened here? There we go. Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And yes, folks, I am somehow still here, a man who watches the Red Sox sweep the White Sox and immediately starts pacing like he just found a weird mole on his pitching staff. I'm the only guy in America who can watch Boston win 6 straight and go, yeah, but what does this mean emotionally for the 2029 bullpen? Meanwhile, Yankee fans are somewhere screaming into a deli meat slicer because the Red Sox remembered how to play baseball and the Yankees are allergic to joy. Joining me tonight is Nick Face, the human comment section with Wi-Fi. Nick saw the Red Sox sweep Chicago and still found 3 people online to argue with by the 4th inning. This man doesn't debate baseball, he waterboards people when Jaron Duran graphics until they beg for mercy. Joining me tonight is John Martinello, the last word on sports himself, because apparently regular words weren't enough. John watches baseball like he's calling a hostage negotiation. Calm voice, confident tone, and deep down he's ready to say, actually, Jim, Caleb Durbin's swing path suggests the collapse of Western civilization has been delayed by another week. And also joining us tonight is Thayer Doyle, the educator, the family man, and the Irish fundamentals police. Thayer watched the White Sox make bad situational baseball decisions and immediately wanted to assign them homework. Chicago, please write 500 words on why throwing to the correct base matters. And no, because the Yankees suck is not a complete sentence. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 43-48 and 11 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays for first place in the AL East. And somehow, after this sweep, they're still not dead. They're not alive, actually, either. They're just like a raccoon in a trash barrel at 2 a.m. Technically dangerous, definitely moving, and now everyone has to deal with it. Boston goes into Chicago and sweeps the White Sox 8-1, 5-0, and today 2-1. That's not a series win. That's a polite mugging. Game 1, Peyton Tolle gives them 6 shutout innings. Monasterio and Rafaela go deep, and the Red Sox make Chicago look like they accidentally wandered into the wrong league. Game 2, Jake Bennett gives 7 scoreless innings, 4 hits, no panic, and no nonsense. The bullpen retires the final 13 White Sox hitters, which is basically baseball's version of turning the lights off while your guests are still talking. And today, Caleb Durbin, my buddy, 2-run home run, Red Sox win 2-1. That's the kind of game Boston usually loses 3-2 after a walk, a bloop, and a balk, and a fan in Section 112 having spiritual crisis. But no, today they closed it. Aroldis Chapman gets save number 19. Patrick Sandoval finally makes his Red Sox debut, and the Sox leave Chicago with a sweep and a 6-game winning streak. But now come the questions. Number 1, are the Red Sox suddenly buyers? Because you don't win 6 straight, sweep a division later on the road, and then pretend you're still evaluating. That's front office cowardice wearing a Patagonia vest. Number 2, Ranger Suarez is on the injured list. Beautiful and perfect. Just when the rotation starts looking functional, the baseball gods kick the door in like a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. Number 3, Brett Harris was acquired from the A's for infield depth. Nothing screams Red Sox deadline season like we found a guy from Oakland. Number 4, Willson Contreras had his suspension reduced to 5 games after the Nationals brawl. Fantastic, because nothing says we're heating up like losing a bat because grown men played dodgeball with fastballs. And number 5, Sonny Gray trade rumors are floating around with Atlanta reportedly interested. So let me understand this. The Red Sox get hot. The rotation is held together with duct tape and Catholic guilt, and now people want Sonny Gray. Folks, I want to hear from you. Comment below. Do we trade Sonny Gray, extend him, or do we hide him in a janitor's closet until August? This team is ridiculous. 2 weeks ago, we were holding a shovel. Now we're checking the wild card standings like a maniac looking at crypto at 3 a.m. That's it for me. It's time for the word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day!
Shocked. I did not expect a sweep. I did not. I thought we'd get 2 out of 3, and I thought today's game would be the clunker. I thought that Patrick Sandoval would erupt on the mound in a bad way, and he gave you almost 5. He gave you 57 pitches. Totally cool, because that's his first time out on the big league diamond and on the big league mound in over 2 years. So let's not shatter anything on Patrick Sandoval. But I am surprised that the White Sox, who up until this series had the second best record in baseball for an American League team at home. And the Red Sox came in and they showed them who's the boss on the road. The Red Sox are. It's still stunning to me how you swept 2 series in a row for a team that was so down in the dumps and couldn't find really any ways of winning. Even today's victory with the 2-1 score, I did not expect that to go the Red Sox way, and it just so magically did. The difference maker here, folks, is your pitching. The pitching has been spectacular. And I understand we've been playing the Yankees when they're down and they're not good. I get it. The Angels are not a good team. The White Sox, they are, or were, I don't know as of today, were the AL Central top dogs. But that's the AL Central. I mean, it's a joke as it is right now. But I think we have to at least give the Red Sox credit for fighting. They did not die. They are not dead like we thought they were going to be. They have found a way to be gritty. They have found a way to be clutch in ways. They have found a way to get the little things done. I even look at last night's game where you had a lot of guys who are fighting for their major league lives, whether it was Cheng or whether it was the night prior was Seigler just being a guy who's out there hustling, giving his all, diving head first to try and get that wild pitch run in. We're seeing things that show life, that show spark, that show integrity and a will to win when we weren't seeing those things prior. Whether it was just Marcelo Meyer going through the motions or Trevor Story thinking he's the best player in the league, or even Roman Anthony at the very beginning kind of going through the motions and just not giving everything that we thought he was going to give. Am I at the point where I'm saying that I'm believing in this team? No, I'm not. Am I happy? Yes, of course I am. I like it when we win. But is this realistic, folks? I don't think so. And one of the reasons being is we kind of saw this last season. The guys will probably talk about this as well tonight. But we had a hot June, and then we got even a little bit more hot towards the very beginning of July. And then the All-Star break came, and it kind of didn't go as well as we expected. There was that 10-game winning streak that we had last season for 2025, which led us up to the All-Star break. We played, I think it was the Tampa Rays, it was the Nationals, and it was one other team. Anybody remember who it was?
The Rays.
I said Rays, the Nationals. I think it was another National League team.
Yeah, it was.
Whatever it was. It was 10 wins in a row that were rattled off, and that's what kind of got the Red Sox. It got the Red Sox into okay, we can do this kind of thing. And they ended up getting, the second wild card. Did that help the long haul of the Red Sox? No. And I think this is where probably Jim is at, because we usually think along the same wavelengths here. If the Red Sox continue to do what they're doing right here, in the long run, this is not going to set this organization up for success. What's going to happen here is that John Henry and Breslow are going to say, oh, well, we can win with Seiglers, and we can win with Chengs, and we can win with the Romy Gonzalez's and the one-year wonder of Jarren Duran, just keeping him out there, even though he stinks and I can't stand him. That's what they're going to think they can continue to do and not give the big money. Case in point, when you should be looking at, look what they went out and signed, at least for this offseason. You brought in Ranger Suarez. That's along the lines of losing Alex Bregman, but you brought somebody in who's been quality. You ended up bringing Sonny Gray in and taking on that contract. Willson Contreras, same deal. So those moves have gone right. It's just the way that the team was kind of put together. Your Caleb Durbin is finally starting to have some life. I don't like that approach. The Red Sox from our days of winning championships had the big splash player, whether it was your Manny's or your Mookie Betts or your even David Price with the big contract and everything. Craig Kimbrell at the time with the contract, with being your closer. Those are players that you need to be a championship-driven team. And I just feel like right now it's still fool's gold. We're drinking that Kool-Aid, some of us a little bit, because we're happy that we're winning. But I think it also means we need to come back down to planet Earth here and realize who we are. Now, could this team still make the playoffs? Yes. Do I want that to happen? Well, it depends on how it goes here with the team. The reason why I say this is, again, it's all about how you do it. If you're doing it with being cheap and you're doing it where you're just kind of wiggling yourself in and the Red Sox ownership thinks, oh, that's acceptable, we'll just do the same thing again. That's not good. So if that's not what you want, then you want the Red Sox to lose, because the only way that you can fix that is for Henry to overhaul everything that's going on with this team, to almost do a reset. So we're in that. It's like a seesaw battle right here on figuring out which end they're going to go. I will tell you that because the rest of Major League Baseball, well, at least a lot of it, stinks. Guys, this may be deja vu of last season, and I'm not happy about it. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. Everybody talks about how bad the American League is, and you have spent more days in last place in this bad American League. So the question then becomes, how bad are you? I've said this before. When you look at the schedule and you try to find the scrubs of the American League to find out where you're going to get all your wins, and you can't find that worst team, it's because you're the worst team.
It's the battle of suck and suck, Jim. That's what it
is.
Who sucked worse?
Right. And here's the other thing. In the American League, there are only 6 teams that have, I don't know how big you guys are into run differential. I'm so on it. But there are only 6 teams in the American League that have a plus run differential. And you're
Red Sox have the third best.
Yeah, which is really bizarre. I think that's a credit more towards their pitching than anything, because they've been a team that
absolutely
has sustained, even in the good years, never were the lowest in runs allowed in Major League Baseball or the American League. But the other thing that you're talking about with your point, and I tend to harp on this a little bit as well, especially towards the end of the season. What does the future of the Red Sox look like? Because
dangerous.
We all know that over the last 5 seasons, the following players have been shoved down our throats. Tristan Casas is coming. Don't get a first baseman. Tristan Casas is coming. Marcelo Mayer, the number 4 draft pick, highest the Red Sox have ever had. Roman Anthony, coming out of nowhere, the number 1 prospect in baseball. Christian Campbell, the number one prospect in 2024, whatever it was. The best player that year wasn't even Roman Anthony. And Kyle Teal, supposed to be great. Braden Montgomery, just drafted. It's going to be great. Yeah, you traded 2 of those guys. But these 5 or 6 guys have been thrown down our throats year in and year out. Well, they're all here. They're all major league players, and I use that term very skeptically. But the reality is that if you look down on the farm, there's not much there. All we talk about is Franklin Arias and maybe a pitcher or 2, but nothing really substantial. Not 4 or 5 guys that are supposed to be the next group. That group is here, and quite frankly, it's been a complete disappointment. I don't care how you want to look at it. I don't know what silver lemonade you want to make out of lemons or what silver lining. I'm not, and I was talking to a couple people today. I'm out on Roman Anthony. I really have a big problem with him. There's a lot of chatter now being said that he's kind of a bit of a boozer and having a lot of good fun, and that's all well and good. Anybody that's young has that right. You're a good-looking guy and you just got $150 million. I get it, but I just worry that there's a problem there, that baseball is going to stop being the most important thing in his life. Your best friend is Marcelo Mayer, who is a California surfer dude that is probably too laid back for this market. I know he's too laid back for me, so I'm sure he's too laid back for the majority of this market. Christian Campbell probably will never see a major league roster again. Kyle Teal's gone. Braden Montgomery's gone. Tristan Casas, I mean, if there's a lockout next year, I think there's an argument to be said he's cut at the end of the year. I don't know why they would give him a 27 offer if he's a free agent in 28, end of 28. Why do that to yourselves? I don't know. So I just think that everybody needs to be very careful about how this deadline goes and even this offseason, because if they continue to show this win 2, lose 2 attitude and come very close at the end of this month when this deadline is here and they think they're in it and they're going to go for it and really not sell off pieces that they should, they're not going to be able to restock a system and trade for a stud. Because if I was running this team, I would get rid of Sonny Gray, Willson Contreras. I'd find a way to move Yoshida, Duran, Connor Wong, Navarez. I would move a bunch of anybody, Aroldis Chapman, Whitlock. I would move any of these guys that I think have some value, restock that system with a bunch of young guys, and maybe in the offseason, trade 4 or 5 of those young guys for a James Woods or something like that could net you a guy whose best years are in front of him, not behind him. Before we move on to John, there was a talk today on Twitter about Corey Seager, the Red Sox interest there. Corey Seager is on the wrong side of his career. He's batting $182, 10 home runs on the season. Again, typical guy whose best years are behind him. Don't do that. Don't rent a player like this that's just going to be more of a pathetic move than it is a positive one. So that's my take on that. That being said, tonight's Nick Face segment is brought to you by Argue Shield Wireless, the only phone plan built for Red Sox fans who need unlimited data, unlimited rage, and unlimited replies to strangers who say Durbin is better than Bregman. With Argue Shield, fans can fight 47 people online before breakfast, quote tweet a guy named Gasper is King 240, and still have enough battery left to explain why your baseball opinion belongs in a compost bin. Argue Shield Wireless, because Nick Face doesn't lose arguments. He just runs out of characters. And now it's going to be time for the Martinello Minute. Sorry for the delay.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth. Raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
So Jim says that we're, Nick and I are in Curry. We're drinking the Kool-Aid juice. Yeah, I am. Yeah, we are. Six
Grape
game
thing?
winning streak. What's that, Nick?
Grape thing?
All of it. Red, purple, whatever you want. 6 game winning streak. You score 35 runs in it. You have a 795 OPS and a 167 ERA. 2 road sweeps in a row. You're 2.5 games back of the wild card. You're tied for third in the American League East. All of a sudden, you've won 11 of your last 13. You're 14-6 in your last 20, which I believe is number 1 in baseball. After getting walked off against the Rockies on June 22nd, they had an 8.2 chance of making the playoffs. Fast forward these last 22 days, that number is now at 31.2% per Fangraphs. In Chicago, it's a 3-game complete professional sweep. I said that they were going to win 1 out of 3 because I didn't think that Willson Contreras was going to be around for that entire series. They did, but it wasn't pretty once Willson Contreras got injured in game 2, and then obviously he wasn't in today. He probably wasn't going to play today regardless of being suspended or not, but if there's anything I would be nervous about going forward, it's that after Willson left in game 2, they played 15 innings after that, and the Red Sox scored 4 runs over those 15 innings. So all that offense kind of just completely out the window, but this team was built on pitching and defense, and those guys all did their jobs, especially the bullpen. Shout out them. Showing up, what was that, 4 2/3 high leverage innings today. Just really good job. Whitlock, Guerrero, Slayton, Moran yesterday. Everybody did a really good job. I think Weissert was in there too. So listen, you got 3 games left on the road trip against the Mets team whose their season's completely fallen off the tracks. In order to win this series and ride high, good vibes into the All-Star break, this team's going to need to show up without Willson Contreras and prove that this club can win without their best bat. Look, the Yankees, look what they've looked like without Judge. And I'm not going to compare Willson Contreras to Aaron Judge at all, but the point I'm trying to make is it's really, really hard to win baseball games without the best player in your lineup and without that protection that they provide for, the second, third bat in that lineup. I mean, look at Ben Rice. He's been abysmal. Today, I think he had a great game, but he's been abysmal since Aaron Judge has left that lineup. But listen, we got Caleb Durbin, so I think that all of our problems are solved. Listen, Peyton Tolle this year, 3.14 ERA. Jake Bennett, 2.64 ERA. Ranger Suarez, 3.15 ERA. All these guys do it, pitching has been unbelievable. I'll give props to Craig Breslow. Even, we talk about the things that he has done, and all of these things have been great. There it is. That's me. I'm drinking him all up tonight. Pause. To make a long story short, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm in on the Red Sox. They got me there, they reeled me back in. I'm excited to watch them every day. Let's go win one more series before the All-Star break and then have some fun couple days off.
Look, John, I don't begrudge anybody that wants to root for the Red Sox. I don't. But I've been watching this team. Thayer and I have been watching this team for way too long, and you can almost already write the final before the chapters are written because it just happens. Thayer can probably attest to this, how many times I've actually called the actual right score the next day after a certain game. I'll be like, they're going to lose 7-2. So-and-so is going to go 6 innings. Here's the thing. I worry about the second half because you're going to face the Rays right out of the gate. Contreras is going to still be in his suspension. They're going to lose that momentum, and you're getting close to the trade deadline. And I really don't think the second half of the season is going to be favorable for this Red Sox roster. You still got a lot of tough teams out there. You still haven't faced all the American League East. And so when, you look at that thing that I said before about the run differential. I mean, you look, the Texas Rangers are in first place with a 500 record. In the West, you've got, Seattle, it's 47 and 47, I think. These teams are not very good, like we've said, but I just don't see those teams ahead of you in the roster down the road. Like, we play some of them, don't get me wrong, but you just got lucky right now. Yeah, okay, they beat the Yankees. I give you credit for that, but you face the Angels. I mean, the four of us could probably beat the Angels, right? I mean, the White Sox, this is a team that lost 100-something games last year. They were ridiculed for not spending money and so forth, and they didn't have Murakami in the lineup. And, you beat them, but they didn't have their best player either. I don't really think they were that great of a team. They were throwing the ball around. They didn't look like a first-place crisp team, and I don't think they're sustainable either. So I just think that second half is going to go the wrong way, and this is why I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, because I don't want to risk having my heart stomped on again when I know the right move is to sell and rebuild this roster in some way. That's my take on that. But the Martinello Minute is brought to you by the Twitter Fact Protection Program. It's a safe relocation service for baseball writers who make the dangerous mistake of posting accurate takes online. Did we cite numbers? We get railroaded. Did we explain roster construction? We get ambushed. Did we calmly point out that the Red Sox cannot just trade 3 vending machines and a backup catcher for an all-star infielder? Suddenly, some guy with a backwards hat avatar, I think it's Jobu Serrano, is calling us names in all caps. The Twitter Fact Protection Program helps brave analysts like us survive the daily battlefield of fans who swear, curse, and proudly announce that they don't follow baseball without realizing they're doing it. The Twitter Fact Protection Program, because on Twitter, facts are considered fighting words. And now we're going to move on to the third strike.
And now it's time for.
Oops.
And now it's time for the third strike with Thayer.
Very happy with how they've been playing. I can't say that right now I'm happy with how the offense has been producing without Contreras. I'm worried about that. But one thing I want to talk about is consistency. And baseball is really all about the teams that can be the most consistent throughout the year. And what we've seen is a very inconsistent team over the last couple of years. And that is because of the lack of true stars, shall we say. We have professional players. We have a couple of them on the team. Contreras is a professional. I'll give Romy Gonzalez credit now that he's back. I think Abreu could be a professional. The rest of what you have is a group of minor leaguers and journeymen who what makes them that in their careers is the inconsistency of it. And that's what we're going to see. Yes, we have had a tremendous 2 weeks, and I'm as a fan, I'm happy to see it. I like when the Red Sox win. I enjoy that. What I struggle with is, how they're doing it and what we're seeing. If you listen to the broadcasts, Merloni is always talking about in the Red Sox being able to be a small ball, aggressive team when they get ahead. And that's the case in point, because that's how this team works. They work off of emotions and they work off adrenaline. And when they actually get guys on base, they can do those small things. And it's actually been more consistent lately, ironically, because they have players that are capable of doing it. When you remove people like Story, when you remove people like Meyer, who are supposed to be impact players, they haven't played their game, developed their game, doing the fundamental things. They were never asked to be the guy that moves a runner. They were never asked to be the guy that just puts the ball in play. They were always thought to be the player that needed to be impact. Now you have a team full of you don't have a team of impact players. You have a team of sort of specialists, if you will. specialists at being, just guys that's supposed to do their job. Guys that are moving runners that can actually bunt the baseball. We're doing those things a little bit more often. And what makes those players so successful at their role is because they aren't the tremendous athletes. They're baseball players. They think the game. The Red Sox are successful right now because the lineup that they're putting out there has an increased baseball acumen. It lacks physical abilities, but their acumen is increased. And that works when you're playing teams that are flawed and fundamentally challenged, like we've been seeing. That helps this team. We've still seen issues, though, with this team not being able to run the bases properly, missing some, things. And that's where this is going to really start to flounder. And the other aspect of this, when it gets closer and as we get down the road, what wins championships and what gets the team over the hump are the stars. We survived a game 2-1 today. We've had fantastic pitching, and I know I've talked about it a couple episodes ago. The kids are doing great. Early's hurt, but Tolle, Bennett, yes, they're pitching very well. But just statistically speaking, and what we've learned as human beings watching this team, there is a limit to the amount of innings they're going to be able to throw, and these guys are coming very close to it. And I do not expect the Boston Red Sox to risk whatever future they have with these guys in the short term this year and extend those players beyond their innings limit. I just don't see that happening. So sooner than later, Bennett, who's been pitching beautifully, Tolle, who's been pitching well, they're going to be cut down. They're not going to be able to go that far. Crochet, who knows when he's coming back. Suarez is hurt. It's hopefully minor, but I can't trust our medical staff. They've been talking about minor injuries with people, and we haven't seen them for a long time. So who knows there? So we're struggling with that. We're already discussing who's going to fill in for Suarez. They refuse to bring up Bayo because they're talking, it's a short-term sort of thing. But if we're not bringing up Bayo, then who does that leave in our farm system to bring up? Yes, Sandoval pitched well, but is he capable of sort of being that consistent? I don't. And I worry that this year, yes, they can probably stay in the hunt. But I think if they stay in the hunt, it ultimately is going to be bad for the future of the Red Sox because we are going to be perennial 500 teams that are just sort of squeaking in and never doing anything. John, I know you're talking about where we could go. There are about 79 games left. Even if we go, I'm not going to say we're going to keep up this winning pace. So let's say we go 36-34 in those games or somewhere around that nature. You're looking at there's about 80 games left. So you're looking at about 79, 80 wins. If we talked about 79, 80 wins at the beginning of this year, we're not talking playoffs. We're talking a sub-500 team. The only reason we're here is because the league stinks. And yes, it is terrible. And can that get us into a playoff hunt? Possibly. Is that good for the long term of the Red Sox? I don't think so. Because ironically, the thing that this team has is options to trade. Chapman, Whitlock, Gray. If you sit down and look at the markets, those are the top 3 players in Major League Baseball that can be traded at the deadline. You have the top 3 players in Major League Baseball that are going to impact Philadelphia, Atlanta, Milwaukee. You name those clubs. We could get into a bidding war with these teams, and suddenly, maybe, as Jim's talking about, we have something to build on. And I don't want to trade everybody. I think you need to maintain what we have. You keep the Suarez. I think you keep Contreras because you need that sort of thing. But those 3 pitchers alone could get back something that could really have an impact on the future of the Red Sox. And I'm not talking, A-ball players that we'll see in 5 years. I'm talking guys that are on the cusp. We sort of talk about Tibbs. Not that I want Tibbs back, but you can get someone who's in that AAA that's blowing up down there, a very high-rated prospect that could have an impact moving forward, if not someone who can really move forward. Yes, John.
Do you think that this team in this horrible American League can compete even if they get rid of Sonny Gray, Whitlock, and Chapman?
I do not. I don't think the back of the bullpen will be – we've seen enough of our bullpen besides those two guys that they will not be able to keep it locked down, I don't think. And Gray, if Early hadn't go – even if Early doesn't go down, if say he's capable, he's not going to get Tommy John. Early, Tolle, and Bennett are not going to pitch in September. They're just not going to do it unless the Red Sox start to shut them down as we go along. And if they start to do that, there's no consistency to keep this winning streak going because we don't have that consistent offense to outscore teams to get us to where those are going to be, because you're going to be bringing in guys that are not throwing 1-2 run games over 6 innings. You're going to get the 3, 4, 5, 6 runs per 6 inning starts. So, no, I do not think they're capable of maintaining. And that's what I'm worried about, that if we keep them, yes, we can probably stay in the hunt. Maybe we squeak in, maybe we don't. But that's going to be of no use to us moving on, where if we trade those 3 guys, we really could get some really marketable and important assets moving forward.
I think there's a lot of important points there. Number one, the biggest thing you were talking about is the innings load. And I know you brought that up in a show while I was away. The innings load is going to be the biggest thing. And it really boils down to the unfortunateness of Garrett Crochet. I mean, you can make the argument if Crochet was not injured, maybe Bennett doesn't get the starts. Maybe Tolle doesn't get the starts. I don't know. But, a few things that really are so hurtful with one of the better pitching staffs in the American League is the Crochet injury. And number 2, the poor performance of Brian Bayo, because I'm an advocate for a 6-man rotation, especially with some of these young guys going down the road. I thought that might be a good thing to kind of like worry about their innings limit. But I agree with Thayer. You're going to get into September, you're going to have that problem. This is one of the reasons why I want to sell basically everybody, because I feel that this team isn't good enough to sustain what they have. Maybe in a year or two, they might be able to, when these guys are being able to go 150, 160 innings. That's a different conversation. But to Thayer's point, you could probably name your number and your ticket on just about any one of these guys, because you hold so many cards right now that you've got 3 or 4 potential best trade chips in the game. And you've got teams that are going to line up for that. It's not like you have one and the Red Sox could say, well, we want X for Sonny Gray. And Milwaukee says, no, that's too rich. We're going to go and grab so-and-so from some other organization. I don't think many of those guys exist because of the fact that the leagues are really poor and everybody thinks they're in it. Hindsight, including you. So if they do this right, they could get an absolute king's ransom for Gray, for Contreras, for Whitlock, for Chapman. To John's point, if you trade these pieces, can you still hybridly stay in it? I Thayer, you said no. I actually say yes. They're going to be very similar if Crochet comes back, if Bayo comes back and he's not a dud, and Tyron Guerrero becomes your closer, like John said a few weeks ago. I think maybe there is something there. I'll be honest with you. If he throws strikes, he's pretty good. If he doesn't, he's pretty bad. And I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Columbine or Colombi. I don't know how do you pronounce his last name.
I've got a good thing on Colomb from this series.
Okay, so, I don't have a lot of faith in him, but I don't know. If Slayton could figure it out, he could be a really good 8th inning guy. And, there are some possibilities there. Playoff bound possibilities? Oh, that's really tough. But I think that you can get a king's ransom, and that's my biggest thing on that. That said, the Third Strike is brought to you by the Cutoff Man Defensive Driving School, helping baseball players avoid reckless routes, illegal throws, and failure to yield to the correct base. If your shortstop double clutches, your outfielder launches one into the 7th row, or your second baseman covers the bag like he's waiting for an Uber, Send him to the Cutoff Man Defensive Driving School. Our certified instructors will teach him how to hit the cutoff man, cover second base, back up throws, and stop treating routine baseball like a group project nobody studied for. The Cutoff Man Defensive Driving School, because somewhere, somehow, a Red Sox runner just blew through the stop sign at third. I want to go with a few talking points. Nick kind of had these up for us. So without further ado, let's try to add these to the storyline here. So Nick, I'll start with you because this is your graphic. Could you make a case that Jake Bennett is the best of all three of Tolle, Early, and himself?
Well, the thing that I like about Jake Bennett the most is his location and control. Mm-hmm. Everything he just threw, especially on his start last night, was just pinpoint accuracy. And it's a refreshing watch if you're a viewer seeing him take the ball. I mean, it was effortless for him last night. Painting the corners, darting it anywhere he wanted to, extremely efficient. 9 to 15 pitches on average for an inning. I mean, he was getting the job done. He was getting a lot of first pitch pop-ups or ground outs and everything. He has been a revelation for saving Craig Breslow's job. Let's just put it that way. He is he could be his best find from the Washington Nationals. But
I think it's his best find on a trade.
It could be. 100%.
I mean, look, Garrett Crochet was a no-brainer. Any one of us could have done that. This came with a lot of criticism. I'll be the first one. I was like, oh, I don't know about this guy. He's been absolutely incredible for us.
Because he's really been the replacement for Garrett Crochet when he went down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the graphic is kind of a little joke on it. The newest ace pitcher. I'm not going to appoint him the ace pitcher yet. But he's throwing the ball to a point where we can talk about his future in the rotation without a doubt. Now, it's going to make it interesting to see for the future of what this Red Sox rotation is going to look like, because obviously you're very lefty heavy. So are you keeping Jake Bennett? Are you keeping Conley Early? Are you keeping Peyton Tolle along with Garrett Crochet? That's a lot, guys. Especially when you have Ranger Suarez as well, too. I mean, your rotation could be all 5 lefties. That's unheard of, at least in Red Sox history.
Well, I mean, in 2018, you had 3 left-handed starters in Price, Sale, and Erod. So, I mean...
You did, but what I mean is it will be all 5.
No, listen, I agree.
That's crazy. I didn't even mention Sonny Gray. So, everybody wants to trade Sonny Gray right now. Well, He's your best right-handed starting pitcher. He is.
Thayer, you're up. Your thoughts on Jake Bennett?
I've been impressed. I think he's been pitching very well. It does sort of correspond with them scoring runs for him. So when you are getting runs, it's easier for you to pitch ahead. And to Nick's point, he does have good control. And what we saw yesterday was he did not need to sort of do the dice K where he has to nibble. He can just come at hitters, throw his strikes, work the ball over, up, down, in and out, change speeds, and get hitters off balance. And again, he hasn't been facing the most difficult lineups in the world, but we're giving him credit. He is pitching very well, and I think there is an absolute hope that he can be something of note. So from where we stand, I think it's definitely a positive. I'm not going to sort of go over the edge yet and saying that he's going to be the next John Lester, but I think that he is showing that he has not only the physical abilities, but also the mental capacity to do it. I would like to see him get into some situations now when that offense isn't scoring. Is he still able to keep his opponents down, especially when he's facing some quality opponents?
Yeah, it's a good point. Just to kind of give the listeners some things to chew on, some of his splits. So his batting average against versus right-handed batters is 238. Left-handed batters is 163. So while there's a bit of a gap there, 238 against right-handed batters is not too bad. Slugging is 341 against right-handers, slugging is 163 against left-handers. He's only given 7 total bases to left-handed batters all season. And his BABIP is 206. So, I mean, he's handled left-handed batters with ease, and he's looked pretty decent against right-handers. You want to look at home and away splits. OPS on home and away splits, 594 at home, 512 on the road. So he's been pretty consistent both home and away in that respect. Couple other things that here. Game outcome in wins, he has a BABIP of 194. In losses, a 320. Kind of makes sense. When you lose, you're probably not, doing too well. But by innings too. Let's go. I had that here. It just froze on me. Kind of doing more of the John Martinello stuff. Here we go. First inning, batting average 042. Second inning, 179. Third inning, 250. Fourth inning, 192. The fifth inning's his biggest problem, a 313 batting average and almost an 800 OPS. If he's in the sixth inning, it's back down to 235 and then 222. Eighth inning is not good. So he's able to have some sustainability there too, which is what you're going to need from a guy that is going to be a starting pitcher, get you into the sixth inning consistently. John, your thoughts on Jake Bennett?
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, my favorite thing about him is his command. If you go look at his heat maps on his pitches, his fastball, every single time it's up in the zone. He has that elite extension that's 95th percentile in baseball. But his four-seam fastball, very repeatable. He gets that 93, maybe touches 95, but it's at the top of the zone with that elite extension. So it's coming in. It feels like that it's, that 97, 98. His changeup pounds everything. Low in the zone, gets it below the zone, gets it inside or out and away on those right-handed hitters. His curveball down in the dirt, like his cutter, low and away to lefties. Just everything that he does is repeatable. He's not missing in the middle of the zone. Granted, why his BABIP numbers are so low. And then on top of that, 98th percentile on his chase rate. There's only a couple of guys in baseball that get batters to fish out of the zone more than Jake Bennett. If you're able to get guys to induce weak contact because they're swinging on bad pitches, you're going to be really successful. And that's exactly what he's done. He's the 84th percentile in average exit velocity, when with a 24th percentile fastball. So he's not throwing gas, but you command your pitches, you throw them in the spots where they're supposed to be, you're going to have a lot of success. Every single thing that he's done this year has been a surprise. But now I think that we're getting to the point where it's kind of expected out of him. And I know, it's kind of a gag on like, oh, he's our ace now because he's kind of filling in for Garrett Crochet. He's pitching like one. So yeah, I think it's a fair, I'm not going to say he's an ace, but I'm not going to, go yell at you for 20 minutes if you say he is one. He's just been really fun to watch. He's one of those guys now where I almost want to, I see Jake Bennett on the pitching probables, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be sitting down in my chair watching him throw for the 6, 7, 8 innings that he's capable of. Jim just threw up, these comparisons between him and John Lester.
Okay, so this is obviously Lester's rookie year, Bennett's rookie year. Lester was 22, Bennett is 25, and of course Lester had 15 starts, just to kind of put your orient yourself.
Yeah, so perfect timing to bring this up. Jake Bennett on his start the other day, he joined John Lester in his rookie season in 2006 as the only Red Sox pitchers in the century to throw 45 plus innings and post a sub-3 ERA in their first 8 MLB outings. Bennett, 47 and 2/3 innings, 2.64 ERA, 35 strikeouts, 8 walks, 3 home runs. John Lester, 45 1/3 innings, 2.38 ERA, 37 strikeouts to 29 walks, So that's a 21 walk difference and also 3 home runs. I don't know how the hell John Lester had a 2.38 ERA with 29 walks in 45 innings, but it's John Lester. But Jake Bennett's he's a stud. Very happy to have him with us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, once we get about 15 starts out, and we make a little bit more of we'll put this up again in a later show if we can get the 15 out of him this year, which we hopefully may. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Lester had a really tough ERA that year, even for the 7-2 record, but we'll see how it goes. It's one of the bright spots so far, of course, on the Red Sox season, no doubt. Moving right along to our buddy Willson Contreras. Nick has a graphic here today that obviously he's going to be going to the All-Star game. He deserves to be there. I'm going to be a bit of a professional heel for a moment because he's been so worried about Venezuela. I don't know why he's not going home to be with family, but that's just me being me. So I'll start with you, John. We'll go reverse. Talk to me about Contreras, what you think. Maybe what else you want to get into with the suspension, and is he going to be traded? Is he going to be here for the long term? What do you think?
I hope he's not traded. In our show last week with Tony, he kind of laid it out perfectly. He's a great defensive first baseman. He's an energy guy. He's a veteran. Every single player in baseball, if you're not on his team, I think it's a good comparison to like Marcus Smart, where if he's not on your team, you hate his guts. And if he is on your team, he's your best friend in the world. I think that's a quality of a player that we haven't had around here in a long time. And, it's one that I welcome with open arms. He's got 2 more years on his contract. Obviously, the elephant in the room is what is next year going to be. I remain optimistic on it as best I can. But, if it's a season that we're going to, if we're going to get a lot of games in next year, and then obviously 2028, there'll be no problems whatsoever. I want him here. And, with the information we have right now, all that's really cloudy, but, regardless, I want Willson Contreras here. I mean, look what he's done. Obviously we can't expect, this sort of production over the next 2 seasons, but if you could get 80% of that with that elite defense at first base, there's no reason why you should move him whatsoever. And especially after, these conversations that we've brought up about Tristan Casas and kind of what his future looks like, Willson Contreras is the guy to be here over the next 2 seasons.
Well, see, there's another argument there too, because he signed through 27 for cheap money. 5 years, $87 million is something that you probably would have saw in 2006 for that kind of contract. I don't remember what the JD Drew contract was, but it was probably something similar to that. And he's got a 28 team option. So it's an enticing, thing for another team if they were to try to trade for him, and, it just gives you a little bit more that you could ask for as a result of that. Yeah. Thayer, your thoughts on Contreras?
I think we keep him. I've been impressed with how he's been playing. I think another year is that, as we sort of mentioned before, another year removed from catching all the time. His body's in better shape. He's providing you offense that very few other players are going to get. And I know I talked earlier about trading people that are there, and I think pitchers are the trade market. A bat like this, as we've proven over the last 4 or 5 years, is very difficult to get. And when we have him locked up. He's sort of been playing up to and beyond the levels that we expected. I kind of, John sort of compared him, the basketball comparison to Smart. I would agree with that. He plays emotionally, and I think we all get on Duran about playing so emotionally, but he's not as talented as Contreras. I think Contreras' abilities and his emotions are important for the team because he uses them to help the entire team. I sort of relate this a little bit to Adrian Beltre. We got him in for 1 year and he was fantastic, and we let him go. And then the next year we brought in Adrian Gonzalez because we thought, this was going to be the next coming. And that proved to be just the opposite, that Beltre proved he can play in our market and do well. And we thought, we'll bring in Gonzalez. He's a better player. that didn't work out the same way. Gonzalez proved he couldn't do it. Contreras is proving that he can play in this market. He's proving that he is. I think he's an important aspect for players like Narvaez and for Contreras, for Abreu to kind of be their role model. I think now the next step is to bring in someone that can be a role model for the Anthonys and can be a role model for, those other players, the Mayers and Story and Duran and such like that, two of those players that can really have an impact on every member of the ball club. So I wouldn't trade him.
So I'll tell you why I brought this up. Obviously for numbers like hits, home runs, and RBIs, we're at the halfway point. I know it's a little bit more than 81 games, but, work with me here. Double everything, right? So if you doubled everything, you're at 160 hits like Manny. You're at 40 home runs like Manny. You're at 125 RBIs like Manny. You're at 4 stolen bases.
That's important.
Yeah, I know. But, obviously there's some work to do with the batting average, the on base, the slugging. The OPS is actually pretty close, and the OPS plus is really close too. So I'm not saying you're getting Manny. This is the first year Manny was with the Red Sox, his age 29 season. I'm not saying he's Manny Ramirez, please. And I know how Twitter is. Hey, he comparing. No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that his first season there, you're getting first half Manny production, very, very close to it. In any regard. Nick, you're last on this. Your thoughts on Contreras?
Another comparison. I know you're not a hockey guy, Jim. I don't know if you are Thayer or John.
Brad
Marchand. Brad Marchand, the rat. You love him when he's your teammate. You hate him when he's not. He gets under your skin. I go back to the point where if you trade him, then you have to go out and get, 3 more bats this offseason to figure out your lineup? You already have a piece right now that works. Now, is he the guy that I want as my 3, 4, 5 hitter? No. He's having an incredible season. I'm not going to take that away from him. But I think that if you had another character style guy who's a leader, like a JD Martinez type or a Xander Bogaerts type, you make Willson Contreras and the rest of your team that exponentially better. So I look at him as a piece. Is he a building block piece? If you get other players to put around him, sure, keep him. But if you're only going to have him be the face of your offense, that's a problem, at least in my eyes, because his season is a career year we're seeing right now. Can this be repeated next season and the year after? I don't think so. That's just how I am on my take. So I appreciate everything he's putting in, but I think that you need other surrounding pieces to make Willson Contreras an even better player than he is right now. Grateful.
Yeah. Totally agree. We're going to move on to pitching probables. So the Red Sox are now headed to New York to face the Mets. Friday, tomorrow, July 10th, is going to be a 7:15 start on Apple TV. Yippee-doo-dah.
Oh.
Yippee-doo-dah. Another Friday night on Apple TV. It's funny. You pay all this money for MLB, network or MLB TV, and then they black the stuff out, and then they part it out to Roku and Apple TV. It's so frustrating. But Sonny Gray against McLean, Saturday, July 11th, a 4:10 start, FS1 and Nesson. Do we have this right to be determined against Peralta? And then Sunday is a 1:40 start.
Yeah.
And it looks like no one is determined.
Saturday is likely Brian Bayo. Buckle up.
Yeah. Do we have any idea on Sunday then?
I don't know why Sunday's TBA.
That would have been Suarez' start, right?
Suarez was supposed to be Saturday.
Okay.
So who the heck would that be? Suarez was Monday for the.
So who was following Suarez? Would it be Gray? No, Gray's Friday. Excuse me. Tolle, no.
It should be Tolle.
who threw on the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th.
They're trying to get him extra time, guys. They're already starting to limit his innings.
That would be an extra day of rest for Tolle. It'd be he's been struggling on the 4 days. Sunday would be 5 days. So,
well, see, the other argument there is it's right before the All-Star break, so you want to get these guys. They used to do this with Pedro.
That extended, yeah. Well, this is what they did last year with
Crochet.
They gave him that one game off to give him. I think ended up being like 10, 12 days of rest.
So you have to worry about a bullpen game there, especially on Sunday. So with that being said, Nick, I'll start with you. What is your predictions for the series, knowing this rotation situation?
I think the Red Sox are only going to win one game this series. I think it's going to be Sonny Gray. The Kool-Aid went down the toilet.
Nick, you need 2 wins to get your 9-3 that you were talking about. Come on, that's all you need.
Bayo, I can't give you faith in Bayo. I can't. So I'm saying I'm a loser. I was wrong in my take.
So you're saying we're both going to be wrong. It's going to middle us up. It's going to be 8-5, right?
It's going to be 8-5. I think Sonny Gray will get the win on Friday night. Bayo will get trashed and be demoted back down to Worcester after the spot start he makes, and then I'm gonna fasten my seatbelt and drive to Citi Field for Sunday so I can pitch for the Red Sox because clearly they need me.
Thayer,
I don't have any faith in myself winning that game, so that's why I'm only going 1-3.
Thayer, your predictions for the Mets series.
I don't think Bayo's going to pitch. I think they're going to bring somebody else up. I think they don't want to do that. He hasn't been doing it. I think they're going to come up with something else. So, oh, God. Because I don't want them to do this, because I want them to do the right thing, the Red Sox are going to sweep this series. They're going to end on a crazy high note, and because they're going to do it in Red Sox fashion, they're going to go into the All-Star break hot as firecrackers. At the All-Star game, whenever Contreras comes up or whenever one of their pitchers comes on, Joe Buck or whoever's doing the game is going to be talking up the Red Sox and how on fire they are, and then we're going to come out of the All-Star break and we're going to poop all over ourselves, kind of like we always do. So that is the consistency I call for a Red Sox sweep.
John?
Yeah, so looking at the Woo Sox roster, the only guys on there that are active on the 40-man and active right now, it's Bayo and Alec Gamboa, who I believe was actually just options back down the other day.
Yeah, see, he'd have to wait 10 days.
Yeah. And then you have Eduardo Rivera, who I believe can actually give you some length. He's pitched. He hasn't pitched in a while, I'll tell you that.
Would Bennett would he be lined up for that Sunday game? No,
it would be on 4 days of rest, which I don't think they want to do.
Yeah.
I'd assume I don't know who's going to be Sunday. Maybe that's just a all hands on deck bullpen. But I'm going to go 2 out of 3. Wow, the Mets got some good pitchers up there. I'm going to go 2 out of 3. I have no reasons for it. I got nothing to think of right now, but give me 2 out of 3. I just hope that they don't lose Sunday. I want to win that game before the All-Star break.
I actually think the Red Sox are going to win 2 out of 3 as well. I don't know why, because I have no reason to want that. I just think it's going to happen because there's 2 factors here. Number one, the Mets aren't going anywhere. I don't know how much of a shit they're going to give. Number 2, the Mets are bad. I mean, they're really bad. I mean, for most of the year, the Red Sox have been so bad, but the Mets have been worse. So I don't have a lot of faith in that. So if the Red Sox don't win 2 out of 3, it's going to be something stupid where they're throwing the ball around again, or, Willie Abreu is throwing it into the Hudson River. I don't know, something like that. that's what's gonna create that situation. So I'll go 2 out of 3 as well. So moving right along, we're gonna go to comments. Let me just get this off of here and time for comments. So let's take some comments here, see what we got.
I have a comment first.
Deidre McCauley says, he. Yes.
Do you have a piece of take?
I don't. You got one?
I do. Can you play it?
Let's do it. Piece of take. Go ahead.
I like Thayer's point where he says the sweep is going to happen and they're on their high and mighty run of thinking they can do this. So I was looking ahead at the schedule to see where they're at post All-Star break. So you got the Rays for 4, remember, because you have 2 on July 17th. Then you play the Baltimore Orioles for 3. Then you play the Blue Jays for 3. So you got all division games up until the 26th. Then you take your talents to Oakland and then finish off July in LA against the Dodgers. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You have 15 more games in July from the 17th. I'm going to say the Red Sox are going to come out of the All-Star break ice cold and only win 7 out of the 15 games. So kind of like a 500 matchup where it's going to leave Breslow running with his tail between his legs. And then at the end of the day, he's going to have to figure out if he's going to buy or sell. We're still going to be at that even keel mark where you're not going to know which direction you're going to be. So it's going to give us all a headache come July 31st. So stock up on your aspirin is what I'm saying on my piece of take.
All right, just for sake of time, we're going to go back to comments. Jules says, Sox won, Sox lost. That's true. Remember I said I said the Sox are going to win at least 2 games, so I was right again.
They did.
Yeah, Sox won, Sox lost. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. I'm telling you guys, stop drinking that Kool-Aid. I am upset and mad. So am I. I always am as well. WEEI again for Betty. Jules says, I had Chicago taking 2. Interesting. I mean, you can't not say that. I mean, they were the division leaders there. So Betty says, Dirt Doggies. I don't know if they're back. I still like the Dirt Dogs from the early 2000s. Happy they're fun to watch. No faith moving up in the standings, I guess she's saying. But I don't know. I mean, is it like ridiculous to really believe that they're 2.5 out of the wild card right now? I mean, it's a stunning turn of events, and they're not good. Jules also says you could trade Gray, but you must get a James Wood prospect. So that's kind of where I was going, Jules. I said, why don't you stockpile a bunch of talent and then try to trade for a guy like him maybe in the offseason, of course, when there's more time to kind of, cavalier that kind of a trade. I think you need to do that then. Get a stud. I truly want like the next Bobby Witt Jr. I want the next guy that has 8 or 10 years ahead of him that's going to be a stud and the most impactful guy in your lineup day in and day out. And that's what I'm looking for. Betty says, Seigler, no way. I'm with you there. No interest in Seigler. John put 2 cups of sugar in his Kool-Aid. John, you got extra sugar in that Kool-Aid. It's probably
I responded to it.
Oda Reeveless, welcome aboard. The 13 was the Rockies in the 10-game winning streak. John, Nick, there's your answer. It was the Rockies in that 10-game winning streak.
It was the Rockies. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
You could beat them last year, but you can't beat them this year.
Yep. Thanks, Oda Revelis. I know I'm murdering your name, but thank you. It's not going to last, according to Jules. I'm not even on that train. It's definitely not going to last. The second half is going to be brutal. Marlon's going to skip Max Meyer next start, already at a career high in innings. So, I mean, maybe you catch a break there. I don't know. I think Nick responded, Jules, if you're talking about hypothetical Kool-Aid, then yeah, sure, why not? Just as long as it's not grape Kool-Aid. Nobody wants grape. Grape is bad. It's just grape.
Frozen grapes.
That's too sweet, but I like sweet tea.
Great.
Get yourself some sweet tea. Yeah, sweet tea would be a lot better, especially with some nice ice, hot summer.
Come and see me and get your tea.
Nick, do you have sweet tea at the stores?
I do.
Okay. Give us a 30-second on the sweet tea. Give us a mix. Like, what can we expect at Empower?
You can get anything that you want, whether it's a shark bite, which is cherry and blue raspberry. You could get a sunset paradise, which is orange and raspberry. You can get your own green tea, hibiscus tea, peach black tea. Every flavor you want, we've got. Check us out at empowercafes.com. And I will be the one to serve you, most likely.
And Nick, what's the easiest way to get to either one of the stores?
Definitely the highway for you.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was going to
fly.
Yeah,
I fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I take by the Empower jet. Let me go fire it up in the back.
I was giving you a chance to plug your stores, and then you railroad me. Bennett has shown better command than Early and Tolle, but short sample size, and I love Early. I'm a Connolly Early fan. I'm a Peyton Tolle fan. I got to be honest with you. I take a little bit of an L on this. I got a little worried early in the year on Tolle. And when I say early in the year, when he was back, I was worried that he was destined to be a reliever because I was really worried about his secondary stuff. It just seemed like he didn't have it last year and so forth. So I thought that maybe his future was going to be maybe a closer or something like that. But he's definitely turned it around. He's looked really, really good. TG says, Jim, you're a clown. Thanks for the compliment. I mean, really. I mean, I'm just happy that you got the grammar right on your R. Yeah, so congratulations. Betty says, love Bennett, but he's being seen for the first time by teams. That's always the case for most pitchers. They're going to have that benefit until, maybe they, the information's out on them and they learn how to hit them. So we'll see. Willson is terrific first baseman. His defense has been fantastic. I mean, you can't find fault with that at all. I don't even know if he has an error on the season. I mean, he could be a Gold Glove.
I'm sure he has at least one.
Yeah, I just don't remember anything glaring, John. But yeah. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, you know what? What series was it? It might have been. It was before the Yankees. I forget who they were playing, but it was one of the embarrassing Fenway series. It might have been the first time playing the Yankees at Fenway, where I think Willson bobbled something. Okay. But outside of that, I can't remember anything else.
He's been tremendous. He's been the best first baseman we've had basically since Moreland. I mean, I don't even him and Euclid probably are the best first baseman we've had in the past 15 years. Jules says we need a PCA type prospect. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily need another outfielder. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm against it, of course, but you got to make room is what I'm saying. So Duran's got to go, or maybe Rafaela's got to go, or Abreu. I'm open to trade all three or any of them, especially if you replace them with a stud. Betty says, I heard on the Fan that Mets will fire the GM, Beltran will be hired, and Cora will be the manager, they think. I think if Cora was going to be there, I mean, I don't know if he would have already been there. I don't know what, I mean, I'm sure he's enjoying himself, but there is some talk about Beltran, too, going back as the manager. I did hear that. I don't know about you guys, but Jules says this is Wilson's career year, and that, Nick, you're right. Is he going to repeat? I don't know. But, to Thayer's point, a lot's been said where, he's got that first base full season now. He's away from being a catcher, and he could concentrate on first. And, it's kind of like the Mike Napoli thing. Jules says, I've got extra innings at DirecTV. Within the last 2 weeks, I'm blacked out on the Royals. That's blacked out on the Royals. Well, I don't know. And finally, post-poop for sure, Thayer. So there you go. That's going to be the end for comments. Any last-minute things before we're going to wrap up?
I know I said one out of three. I might be a little bit more tempted with 2 out of 3 the more I'm thinking about it. But
I'll switch with you. You could take my 2 out of 3. I'll take your 1 out of 3.
I'm just nervous
about this offense.
I'm just nervous regarding who the hell's pitching. That's seeing TBA is not making me. Yeah, the Kool-Aid guy is going to throw. See, I can't. If you told me that Brian Bayo is the starter for Saturday right now, which we don't know, it's still up in the
John,
air.
are you not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore?
I would tell you 100%.
I'm still on it, but now I'm like, oh, dude, this. Willie Abreu he's got to have a series. He's been hitting the ball okay and not getting rewarded for it, but
last comment from Jules came in. Who wins the home run derby?
What do you think?
Caballero.
Oh,
John Martinello.
Yeah, not John Martinello. Him or Caminero. Caminero is a freaking stud. That's a guy you got to trade for.
Junior.
Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to. But that's the kind of guy you want, right?
He'll be available in 4 years once they have to start paying that second and third year of arbitration. But that's still a thing.
But that's the kind of guy you want, right? A freaking corner infielder that's going to hit 40 bombs every season. He's a stud. He's really a stud. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Nick, Thayer, and John for being on. Our next show probably will be Sunday night after the Mets series, and then we're going to do probably a show on Thursday after the All-Star game where we'll do a kind of like a report card show. We'll go through the rotation, the infield, the outfield, and so forth, and do some grading. So definitely everybody that's on for that show, I'd like to get your input too in the comments of your grading for the players when we get to that Thursday show, and we'll compare notes and we'll take it from there. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll talk to you on Sunday.